Two guys not related, yet somehow are given the same name. It's time for the Two Daves podcast, where we'll answer the age-old question, are two Daves better than one? And now, here's Dave and Dave.
That's right. It's the Two Daves podcast. And this ain't tacos.
That's right.
I'm Dave.
And I'm the other Dave. And we are in the middle of our season 1 break. We finished up our first season, 30 episodes. And Dave, that's kind of a landmark, isn't it?
It is, knowing that most podcasts don't make it past the 4th podcast. So that's a great accomplishment for us. That and 5 cents might get us a cup of coffee somewhere.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So we're taking a little bit of a break, and we're having the next 4 episodes are going to be interviews with people like you who actually listen. And we found 4 people who listen to it, and they're not related to us.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah. And so over the next 4 weeks, they're going to be on here. We're going to introduce them, and they're going to tell us what they've liked about the first season, and maybe some constructive criticism. Hopefully constructive.
Oh, that's good. Now, Dave, looking back over 30 episodes, when you think about it, a lot of people maybe don't know that we try to do episodes in advance.
Yes.
And that's more difficult than what you think, because sometimes we went 2 or 3 weeks without doing a podcast, and we were grateful for the episodes that we had already in the bank. We
had a lot in the can. Yeah.
But what's your takeaway from your first season? I mean, this is the first time we've done this, Dave. What's your takeaway on this?
Yeah, well, I've never done anything like this before, but I was really excited to be able to do this. The idea, I don't know where the idea germinated in your head, but a little over a year ago, you were doing something online on your computer with your church called In Closing, I believe.
Yes.
And you asked me to come on, and you interviewed me about some things, and it really went well. We have chemistry that we've had together for several years, and you said something on the air. You said, "Well, I think we ought to do a podcast," and something just went boing. Like, yeah, that would be a good idea. And so, from there, we just started working on it. So.
And it's been downhill ever since. So,
it's been downhill ever since.
It's been a joy. It's been fun, Dave, doing it with.
We determined that we didn't care how many listeners we had. We were just going to have fun doing it. So
yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, we're going to start our season 1 break. It's we have not a whole lot of jokes. We're just bringing on our listeners, and we really are supportive. Yeah,
Dave, we never have a lot of jokes.
No, we don't. That's true.
Well,
That's true.
We have a lot, but they just kind of.
Yes, I know. Hey, but we're very grateful for the listeners that we do have. We have some faithful listeners, and we're just blessed to have them. And thought it would be great to bring some of them on that are not either our moms or dads or brothers or sisters or kids, and
wives.
Yes, the wives won't be on again. I can tell you that.
No, they're done with that.
But Dave, why don't you introduce our first listener supported person that we have?
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce you to a longtime friend of the Two Daves, Mr. Jonathan Wright. And I'm just going to let Jonathan tell you about himself, and then we'll start talking about the podcast. So, Jonathan, welcome to the Two Daves.
Welcome.
Hey, thank you, fellas. I appreciate it. It's such an honor to be on with you guys tonight. I'm a longtime listener of the Two Daves podcast. I consider myself a part of the Two Dave Nation. And if
All right.
you're watching, if you're listening to this podcast for the first time, do yourself a favor, download it onto your iPhone or wherever you listen to it at, and just start listening. You'll love it. It's great variety. It's going to be great. But Dave and I go back decades, literally. We've known each other many, many years in life and ministry. We hang out together. We've done things. I currently travel as an evangelist around the nation. I'm also an associate pastor at Abundant Life Church here in Overland Park, Kansas. And it'll be just last month, actually, I celebrated 33 years of full-time ministry, and God's been very, very good to me over the years. And I'm just enjoying life. And I've really been enjoying the Two Daves podcast. And I was honored when you texted me and asked me to come on and share a little bit about my experience. So
that's
Wonderful.
great. That's great. Jonathan, we're hoping to have you on in our season 2 because Jonathan has a great testimony to give
Powerful
about his life. And so we'll do that. But we just thought it'd be curious to know what's going on in the minds of our listeners. And so if you kind of just share with us, what is it that caused you to want to continue to listen? What have you liked? And maybe what have you not liked?
Well, Dave, number one, are you Dave 1 or Dave 2?
I'm always Dave 1.
I'm Dave and he's Daver.
Hey, there we go. So Daver, to talk about what you just mentioned, is you asked about why I continue to listen. If you don't mind, I'd like to explain that to you.
Yeah, do.
So I first listened to Two Daves podcast strictly because you two are such good friends. And I just wanted, it was a chance to, as I said a minute ago in our pre-time together, to hang out with you guys. And so I listened to the first episode, very first one, and I listened to your promo that you had done, and I was really excited about it. I listened to it, and it was good. I enjoyed hanging out with you guys. But I've continued listening. In fact, I'm only just a couple of episodes behind, and I'll be completely caught up for the whole season. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. And the reason I've stuck around and listening is out of the variety. If you looked at my iPhone, I have probably, I'm just giving you a rough estimate, at least a dozen or more different podcasts that I listen to for various reasons. Some are about business. Others are about technology, things like that. Many of them are about ministry or preaching, just straight up preaching podcasts. And I even throw Dateline in there for an occasional mystery, to figure out. And but in the midst of all of that is your podcast. And the reason why I've continued to listen is the variety of it all. I mean, this season we've gone from telling some of the corniest jokes I've ever heard that made me laugh, all the way to I discovered I love old movies. Dave, not Daver, but Dave, I got to tell you, dude, I love the reviews on the movies. I just love that. I mean, I catch myself hitting the 10 seconds back button to get the name of the movie again, In fact, I think I even texted you guys after listening to one of the episodes and mentioned a couple of movies that you guys didn't list. I thoroughly enjoyed that. And then I'll watch another podcast that's something less lighthearted, that's on a serious note. And then probably the one podcast that stands out the most in my mind is episode 16. And on episode 16, the two of you got very transparent with your audience and shared your struggles. I have actually listened to that podcast, the second half of it on the serious part. I went back and re-listened to that a second time. It was extremely meaningful to me. And I've actually recommended it to a few people that I know are in ministry that struggle, because I said, I just want you to listen to two of my friends that lay it all on the line and talk about their struggles. And yet I want you to be able to see that you need to open up like that too. So you guys have been all over the map, man.
Wow.
And it's the reason I keep listening to you, because these other podcasts I'm listening to, most of those are brand new in my lineup, because after a while I'm done with listening to business podcasts. After a while I'm done listening to tech podcasts, and I just move on to something else. I can't ever be done with you guys because you keep mixing it up on me. So there you go, Daver. That's the answer to one of the things you wanted me to share, that was what's going on in my brain about Two Daves. And that's one of the things I've appreciated about you and why I've kept listening.
That means a lot. I mean, that really does. And that, because we don't know, it's kind of, you do basically kind of a podcast yourself at your church right now. And, you don't know what the other people are thinking. You don't really see them and their response. And so this is beneficial to us. And I really appreciate that.
And Dave, everybody listens for different reasons. You mentioned the thing that I do. I do a Facebook Live Bible study every Wednesday night for our church. During COVID, with all the shutdowns and everything, we shifted to that. And it became so much more effective for us that we've not even added Wednesday night back in again. We've strictly stayed online with that one and have a much bigger audience, and it's been much more effective. But sometimes people will tell you though what they're thinking in their brain. I've been told to never wear a certain shirt that I wore one night when I was doing the Facebook Live Bible study. I was told another time that I probably ought to consider getting some work done on my teeth.
Wow.
Well, you are from Arkansas, right?
Exactly. I knew that was coming, man. Daver, the second I said that, I knew you were going to bring out Arkansas. But and then Pastor, I never knew you had so much gray hair till I saw you on our TV. Those kinds of things. So
Yes.
and obviously along the way you do get an occasional word of encouragement, or all of us would have quit a long time ago and took up something like underwater basket weaving for a side gig or something. So yeah,
it's very interesting that you're encouraging us to go video, and now you're telling all these stories. You've really scared me now.
It's true though. Yeah.
Oh, well, one of the things that Dave and I talk usually when the episode comes out, we can be pretty hard on ourselves, pretty critical at times, laugh though as well. And as we've done this, it's been kind of funny. You don't realize you say or duh or things like that, or things that we thought were funny were not that funny. And but I say all that to say that it's fun to be able to do this and to not have to be perfect in what we're doing.
Yeah. And I think and you guys have been a great display of that. And that's one of the things I appreciate. Let me, if you don't mind, can I elaborate on a few other things?
Go for it.
Means to me. Okay. Part of it is once again, to all of you listening, I truly consider it a privilege to count these two guys as friends. These are going to be two of the nicest men you've ever met. They're generous. They're kind. They love their families. These are just two really great men, and they've been good friends to me over the years. Daver, I'm especially thinking about you, man. You remember many years ago when I went through my divorce from a long-term marriage, how many times, and you're a night owl like me, but how many times you would take a phone call, even though I knew you probably had a message you were trying to get done or something other else, when I was really struggling, and you'd take the phone call and you'd pray with me. Sometimes you'd tell me a joke because I probably hadn't laughed in a very long time,
That didn't help, did it?
What's that?
That didn't help, did it?
Yeah. Well, a little, but my counselor said he needs to get better at it. But but those kind of things. So back to Two Dave's podcast, you guys are demonstrating for your audience what true friendship is. I have several principles that I guide my friendships by. One of those being that there's a principle called iron sharpens iron when it comes to friendships, where two people can come into a relationship and where they challenge one another in a good way, and where they help each other and do stuff for each other, and it sharpens their life. A friend is someone that loves at all times is another great proverb to live by. And all of those things I see you guys live out. But what's been so unique about your podcast is now you've found a way to show people in an audience, the people you've never met, of what it's like to have friendships. You guys have shared about your double dating with your wives. You've shared about your marriages, your kids, them getting married. You've shared a lot of laughter and struggles. You even were brave enough to bring on the wives. That was a must listen to podcast. I was not missing that one for nothing. I was like, I can't wait to hear what these two ladies are going to say, And but you guys truly have done that, and it's been another reason why I've continued listening, but also why I think you are the dose that many listeners are going to need, because they'll be able to see again by hearing what it means to have a true friend, what it means to walk with that person through a long distance in life. A lot of people say they have good friends, but they've not walked through certain seasons with that friend, and they don't realize how great they have it. And both of you in differing ways have been there. Dave, not Dave Verb, but to Dave now. Dave, I'll never forget the times that you'd have me come and preach. You knew I was struggling financially. My schedule was slim, and you just found a place to put it in because you wanted to bless me. Those are the kind of men you two guys are. And so, and it comes through, just so you know, it comes through in the podcast loud and clear. I've tried listening as someone that doesn't know you as well. And I hear it, it's there. And I think that's one of the greatest things that you've done through this first season in doing your podcast. I think it's been quite remarkable, actually. A lot of people don't have enough, they don't have enough chemistry between them and their friendship to carry it for a full season. And you guys have done it swimmingly. So,
That's awesome.
Wow.
Thank you so much. If there's anything that you'd like to see us talk about in the next season, what would that be?
Well, that's a really good question, Dave. Thank you for asking that. I think if we could share a few things, maybe some more bloopers from Daver's golfing, because although I've been told he is nearly a pro, I've also heard there's some pretty interesting stories about his golfing. And so
Yes,
I think that might add a lot to the podcast, I do enjoy though I enjoy your chemistry, I will tell you, I believe the two of you have done a really great job at interviewing people. I really enjoyed your interview with Andy Parks, with Bobby Massey, and it goes on and on and on. Even the guy that did the Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck,
yeah.
did Donald Duck,
Yes.
Yeah, that guy. So you guys are really good at interviewing people, and I enjoy that. I'm glad it's not the only thing you do, but I do enjoy that. I'd really like to see you do more when it comes to movies. Now, that may fall more to Dave a little bit more. And now, Dave, it's not like you don't know anything about movies, though.
Yes.
I question your taste a little bit. I'm more on the Dave track instead of the Daver track on the movie. So
Thank goodness.
although I do appreciate the occasional gangster rap that you bring to the venue. So that helps. But I truly think that some more things with movies and stuff. And here's why: we're really in a culture that it is getting increasingly, though we have availability to more entertainment than ever before. We also are still facing the same challenge we always had of having clean alternatives to having a date night movie with your wife or your husband, to watching a movie with the family, to watching a movie with the kids. And so I think there's something, and because you guys have made it so fun and both of you are really good storytellers, I think you could do more with movies, maybe even thematic, like do one with, who wouldn't love to hear from the two Daves about two Daves Christmas, and you guys talk about all the best Christmas movies ever. And then, that kind of a thing. So I think if you did something more with movies, I think you would do really great with that.
That's good. That's good. Now,
that's great ideas.
did you write those down, Dave? Or
I
not?
did. I've been writing it down.
Too.
Yeah.
I mean, this is some good stuff. Maybe we should have saved you for the last interview instead of the first interview.
I'm just glad to even be. I'm just happy to even be in the lineup, dude. That's all, man. So,
now, I do have a question. One
Ask
other
away.
question I have, and that is, we always do like a 10 to 13 minute opening.
Yes.
Where we do our our little bit, and then we have fun with just trying to make it lighthearted,
Sure.
And then if we go into a serious topic, at least we've still tried to make people laugh.
Yeah.
Do you like that part, or are you more for the second part? I mean,
Okay. Great question. I'm so glad you asked that.
and
David.
let me tell you, we're being transparent here because
no.
we're
And I
ready
am
for
too.
whatever.
Well, see, and I am too, because I know you guys. And so I know we're really just having, it's kind of like we're having a brainstorm session. And we
Yeah,
just happen to let the audience listen in. a
that's
little
right.
bit,
That's right.
So that's what I'm enjoying about it. But back to what you were saying, there have been on some of your podcasts that you've had, in full transparency, I bumped the 10 seconds ahead all the way up past your introduction to the interview, because For example, the one that you have with Andy Parks. Andy Parks is a dear friend of mine, and so I was just excited to hear him. And then I still go back and listen to the intro because I've already told you that's been your hook with me, at least, is the variety of it. But occasionally I have bumped past that because sometimes I don't have all the time that I'd like to have for a podcast. So I just kind of want to get to the meat of it. And I know you're doing an intro, so I'll just slide the bar over a little bit. And you're not there yet. A little bit, you're not there yet. Whole lot more, and you're not there yet. And then boom, you're there. And I listen. And then later I can go back and listen to the more lighthearted stuff and things like that. So it kind of depends on where I'm at. If it's Monday and I'm working out at the gym, I need the lighthearted stuff far more than I need the interview in the second half. So I always start with that. So
that's the beauty of podcasts, though. You can fast forward. You can go to wherever you want. You can re-listen to it. That's the good thing. Maybe my favorite, what
my favorite part of our episodes are?
What's that?
When we say goodbye.
Oh, okay. Okay, Dave, now you're going to let me talk about that for a minute. Number 16, if I've not mentioned it yet, all of you in the Two Daves Nation audience right now, you need to, if you've not listened to it, it is necessary listening to go to episode 16. I can't remember the minute mark, but if you don't want the stuff in the beginning of the episode, that's fine. I mean, lighthearted stuff or whatever. Get to the heart of the matter where these two men talk about struggles. Back to you now, Dave, I was shocked when I found out that you struggle with shyness. I'm just admitting it. I truly was so surprised by that. And you said that everybody is. I guess I'm everybody,
Yeah. A lot of people are
surprised. Dave, I was very surprised by that.
Yeah. That doesn't surprise me because a lot of people have been shocked to hear that. And something didn't click with me till my mom heard the podcast. And she said, I always noticed, like, for instance, I've always been involved in drama, plays and everything. And when the cast goes out at the end to, greet their public, I don't go out. I just stay backstage and make off or whatever. And she says, I've always noticed that you're one of the few that never goes out. She says, I guess that's probably why. I said, yeah, that's absolutely why.
Oh, yeah. But I got to tell you, so write it down. Two Daves Nation, all of you that are listening, it's episode 16. And I think if you'll just put the headphones on and listen to it, if you're struggling in any area of your life, these two men really break that down, and their transparency is going to kind of help you open up a little bit to finding some freedom in those areas of places where you're struggling. One of the things that was said in there is Davers said that none of this stuff is easy. I mean, they admitted that in the podcast. Not many people will say that. They told you it wasn't going to be easy, but they also went on to show how you could get past all of that. And these two men, when they shared their struggles, like Dave with shyness, and then also Daver was very transparent with his self-image type things. And when you hear those, you can't help but think, wow, whatever it is I'm struggling with, I can do this too. And so it's one of the reasons I even know what number the episode is. I've told people about it. I thought it was truly that good. And if you've been a part of this Two Daves Nation, you'll appreciate it even more because you've gotten to know these two men a little bit. But it's a must listen to. Episode 16, everyone should go back and listen to that. So
awesome. Jonathan, if we get a little bit bigger, you would be an awesome person to moderate a Two Daves podcast, man. You're great at this. So I've encouraged you to do some podcasting, and I watch you on Wednesday night, and you do a great job.
I've seen you in the audience a couple of times.
Yeah. So we look forward to having you on.
And one of the things about improvement, that was a question you asked, and we talked about it before the show, but I'd like to mention it to you here so we don't forget, because I know Dave's taking notes. You guys have got to do video. I'm just telling you. There are probably, in fact, all of you out in Two Daves Nation that agree with me on this, you need to make a comment right here. Go right down in the bottom of this video, right underneath it, wherever you're listening to this, write a comment. Please make video available. We're going to force these two guys to get into the video menu because we want to see them interacting. I'm getting to see them interacting because we're all on a video together. But with the Two Daves Nation deserves to see you guys on video. And so you need to get it out there. I think more people would join in, and you've got me listening no matter what. But I think for adding to your audience and improving the one you have, I think video would take you to a whole nother level. So
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well,
And
we hope.
as Jonathan said, if you haven't heard all of season 1, you can download those episodes, and I'd encourage you during this break to go ahead and just binge the first season and just see what we're talking about.
Yeah.
it's a great idea. They should.
There's a lot of people that we want to thank. First of all, thank you, Jonathan, for coming on this shortened season 1 break podcast. I really appreciate you. Appreciate your friendship, appreciate your comments, and I look forward to season 2 and having you on. It will be fun, very fun. We just want to let our audience know that there's certain people that went the extra distance for us. My son Lane, he took over the editing after Andrew went and got married. So we want to thank Andrew and Adams, thank you, and Lane Martin for the editing. And Lane also does the graphic design work. And that's what he is. So he's been a great blessing to us. My son Clay got us hooked up with all the social media stuff. So thank you, Clay. And you have one more to thank, right?
Marcus Hooper, my son-in-law, has done our announcement every week. And so I appreciate you, Marcus. Appreciate all the input you've given.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much to Dave's Nation. You are awesome. And we will come back with another one with another solid interview with one of our listeners that we appreciate so much. So until next time, remember this: 2 Daves are always better than one.